Capricorn, do you know why, even though you've done everything right, you still don't have the life you deserve? Maybe you've worked hard, stayed disciplined, and made sacrifices. But the ironic truth is, effort alone doesn't decide everything. Frequency is what actually leads money into your life, and you, Capricorn, understand that more than anyone. After spending the last 15 years with Pluto in your sign, carrying everything, building from rubble, only to realize you've forgotten to ask yourself, what frequency am I vibrating at? You may have planned everything perfectly, worked 12 hours a day, never complained, never gave up, but if deep down you're still transmitting an old belief that money must come through struggle, that you're not yet good enough to deserve it, that you must control everything before you dare to dream big, then that frequency isn't one of abundance but of limitation. Capricorn isn't afraid of climbing mountains, but the real question is, are you sure that mountain is taking you to where you truly want to go? If you keep repeating the cycle of pushing hard, burning out, then starting all over again, maybe it's time to change your strategy. Not the schedule, but the energetic field you're living in. Because in 2025, Pluto, the planet of rebirth and power, has officially left Capricorn and entered your second house. And what does that mean? It means that from now on, money no longer comes through sacrifice, but through vibration. Through the inner value you believe about yourself. Through the identity you quietly allow yourself to live by. But if you've already given it your all and the results still don't match your effort, then maybe the problem isn't in what you've done. Maybe it lies in a deeper layer that most of us can't see. The frequency you're vibrating at every single day. Capricorn, pause for a moment and ask yourself, why are there people who do less than you but attract far more? Why is it that someone who pours their entire heart into everything often fall into the same loop? As soon as you finish one task, you're already stressing about the next one. You make money only to watch it slip away? It's not because you haven't worked hard enough. It's because you're broadcasting a frequency that doesn't match the prosperity you truly want. You may not be the smartest in the room, but you are the most consistent. You don't mind starting from scratch. You're not afraid to sacrifice sleep, vacations, even your youth, just to build something stable, lasting, something worthy of being called an achievement. But has that achievement ever truly arrived? Capricorn, do you see the contradiction here? You can make meticulous plans, follow your schedule religiously, endure pressure in silence. Yet still, money slips through your fingers. It's never quite enough. Or it never brings the sense of peace you thought it would. The reason doesn't lie in laziness. It doesn't lie in the economy. It doesn't lie in your environment. It lies in a truth that few dare to face. You're still carrying around an outdated financial blueprint, one that was programmed into you from the earliest days you ever learned what money was. Maybe you grew up in a household where every penny had to be stretched, where money was a burden, the cause of arguments, something that never felt extra. Maybe you heard phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees, we live to work, not to dream, you have to struggle to earn a dime. And you believed them. You believed them so deeply, you didn't even realize you were repeating them subconsciously. You believed you had to push harder to be worthy of receiving, that if you weren't at your limit, you didn't deserve to have it yet. You turned yourself into a machine that produces value, but never really allowed yourself to receive it. Sometimes, you look back on the past month and see you did nothing wrong, and yet there's still a quiet emptiness you can't explain. Not because you're missing anything, but because you don't yet believe you're allowed to keep it. Not only after you've exhausted yourself, but right from the moment you start living in alignment. You might think, I want to be wealthy, but if the frequency you're putting out is, I'm only allowed to have money if I pay for it in sweat, tears, and sacrifice, then the universe will understand that you've chosen poverty as your moral code, and you will live by that code, even if you never meant to. Money doesn't come because you want it. It comes because you believe you're able to hold on to it. Capricorn, you know how to build, but are you building your house on fractured ground? If deep down you're still operating on a belief of, I'm not enough, or I need to try harder, then all your outer effort will only patch things temporarily, until they crumble again like sand. Remember, it's not that you're not good enough. It's that you're playing the game of money on an outdated frequency, one that never truly allowed you to be wealthy because it never once believed you deserved it. And this is exactly when the lesson of the second house, where Pluto has just arrived, begins to knock on your door. Not with noise, not with instruction, but with a quiet question. Are you ready to keep when there's nothing left to prove? So, if you've done everything you possibly could and money still doesn't stay, maybe it's time to pause and ask, what frequency am I really vibrating at? That's when we need to look deeper, not into what you're doing, but into the energy you're putting out every single day. Because everything in the material world, including money, is just a surface result of a deeper root, vibrational frequency. You know, Capricorn, there's a truth that few people say out loud, yet it's always been there. You could be doing everything right and still be vibrating at the wrong frequency. And that alone is enough to make your entire financial game fall apart. Let me explain. Everything in the universe is energy. You already know that. But what we often forget is that energy always moves at a specific frequency. Like radio waves, you can't hear the song on 101.5 if your dial is stuck on 88.9, even though the music is playing right now. Money works the same way. It always exists, it always flows, but it only reveals itself in your life if you're aligned with its frequency. Capricorn is a zodiac sign rooted in the material world. You live by structure, planning, and logic. You believe in action that builds, in value created through honest labor. And that's valid and admirable. But have you ever wondered, why can someone take a single simple idea, or post one short video, or make one right connection, and suddenly earn 10 times more than you, even though you've been pushing for years? It's not that they work harder, they simply vibrate more accurately. Vibrate where? From a deeper inner belief, from the self-impeachment they carry with them every single day. You could have a 10-year financial plan, but if deep down you still believe things like, money is really hard to come by, I have to struggle to be worthy, I probably won't keep it long anyway, then those frequencies act like invisible bodyguards, quietly pushing money away from your life. Frequency doesn't come from what you say. It comes from a deeper place, your subconscious. And you, Capricorn, you're one of the most prone to being stuck in subconscious programming because you trust logic too much. You're too good at enduring and too hard on yourself to ever stop and ask, what am I believing that's keeping me living in limitation? You don't realize it, but for years you may have mastered the art of self-denial. While convincing yourself you were just being responsible, you negotiate with your dreams. You push aside your true desires with thoughts like, I can wait. Let's be sure first. I'm not ready yet. Capricorn, you think you're in control, but in reality, you're being driven by an old limiting frequency, what we call subconscious poverty programming. And if you don't change that frequency, then no matter how many times you switch careers, switch cities, or switch your entire life, money will keep looping you right back to square one. What? Because you don't live according to what you consciously know. You live according to what you were unconsciously programmed to believe. And that right there is the root reason why so many Capricorns, despite being smart, determined, and capable, still find themselves stuck in the same financial lesson year after year. And if the root lies in your vibrational frequency, then you need to know 2025 is the year the universe begins to test you at the deepest level through your own astrological chart. Because change isn't just happening within you, it's already been marked out there in the sky. To understand what's truly unfolding with your finances, values, and destiny this year, we need to look at a significant shift. Pluto, the planet of power and rebirth, has officially entered your second house. Have you been feeling unfamiliar with yourself lately? The suffocating pressure of past years has eased. The silent midnight panic attacks are gone. But so is the old fire. You work, but feel empty. You earn, but no longer find joy. Perhaps you're unsure where you're headed anymore. If you're a Capricorn, what you're feeling isn't random. It's the aftershock of Pluto leaving your sign, concluding a 15-year journey of complete self-reconstruction. Those 15 years you lived like a mountain climber in the dark, taking each step without light, applause, or guarantees. You bore burdens, you held things together, even those that should have fallen apart. You built a career, reputation, ethics, even the image of a reliable person down to the smallest detail. But perhaps you forgot one thing. You never built inner value for yourself. You knew what to do to be recognized, but you never asked, what do I truly want, and do I allow myself to deserve it? Now, as Pluto leaves Capricorn and enters the second house, the house of money, value, and material power, that question is no longer optional. It becomes the prerequisite for you to enter a new financial level. Because Capricorn, Pluto doesn't move without reason. The second house isn't just a bank account. It's the extent to which you value yourself. It's where you emit a subtle frequency. How much do I believe I'm worth? How much do I allow myself to keep? Do I believe money can come to me without struggle? Plausible planet, the planet of transformation, will test you at your weakest point. Do you still tie your self-worth to sacrifice, burden, and control? If the answer is yes, you'll find 2025 to be a series of situations that shouldn't have been this hard but still are. Because you're not lacking opportunities, you're just unconsciously rejecting your own value through old beliefs you mistook for virtues. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of limits, responsibility, and structure. But in 2025, Saturn is transiting Pisces, the sign of emotions, soul, and irrational beliefs. What does that mean? It means for the first time in years, you're forced to set logic aside, to trust your intuition, to believe, I don't need to work twice as hard to receive a portion. I can be gentle and still abundant. I don't need a reason to be wealthy, I just need to believe I deserve it. This might sound risky to a Capricorn. You dislike ambiguity, you want formulas. But your new energy isn't about building with rigid structures anymore, it's about subtle vibration. You're entering a new phase, where money no longer reflects physical effort, but mirrors your internal value frequency. If you maintain the old pattern, that money comes through sacrifice, then Pluto will keep you in cycles of earning, then losing, building, then slipping away, not to punish, but to awaken you from an outdated program. Because now, you're no longer the Capricorn of 2008. You've traversed your own hell, and it's time to step out, not to start over, but to do it differently. Not to grind for money, but to become someone money can't help but find. So, if you're ready to step out of your old self, not to start over, but to start differently, then the question is no longer what do I need to do, but rather, who do I need to become so that money has no choice but to come to me? And that journey doesn't begin with a flurry of action. It begins with one very small, yet immensely powerful step. Rewriting the image you hold of yourself. And the simplest way to start, that's the gold card. Capricorn, you don't just need belief, you need a system of action, and you need it today. Not to fake positivity, but to rewire the financial pattern silently shaping your life from the shadows. Well, because if you don't rewrite it, the old program will keep running. Wrapped in layers of diligence, caution, and security, you may continue to undervalue yourself without even noticing. And here's the hard: you can't sustain wealth if deep down your subconscious still believes that scarcity is normal. But here's the hopeful truth. You can rewrite that entire program by shifting your self-image and the frequency you live from. No shouting affirmations, no hollow mantras, just one small, consistent act, exactly the way you do best, with persistence, steadiness, and structure. Start with just one thing, the gold card. Take a small piece of paper. Write clearly, specifically, without hesitation. I am attracting the amount of in my life through ease, consistency, and inspiration. Don't write it like a hope. Write it like a truth that already exists. Write with the voice of someone who knows they are worthy, not someone pleading for a chance. This is not magic. It's a tool, a powerful one to activate your new self-image. Because every time you touch that gold card, you're touching the version of you that you are now programming. A Capricorn who no longer lives under the weight of "I must struggle to be worthy," but vibrates with the frequency of unconditional deserving. Science calls this neuroplasticity. I call it the unlimited Capricorn. You're someone who loves a good system? Then here it is. 1. Write the exact amount you want to attract. 2. Touch that paper at least 3 times a day. 3. Each time, visualize the person you are becoming. Not just someone who has money, but someone who lives aligned with a new identity. 4. Feel it, believe it, no forcing, just resonance. Because you don't attract money with reasons, you attract it with frequency. And to change your frequency, you don't need to work harder. You need to become someone who can actually hold money. You can begin by changing your inner language. Instead of thinking, I need to try harder to deserve this, say, I am worthy, and I'm opening a new reality where things come to me without sacrifice. If that sounds strange, it's only because your mind hasn't yet been trained to believe it. But it can be. Just like your body can learn a new yoga pose, your mind can learn a new truth. The truth that I can be Capricorn and still be the one who attracts wealth through grace, clarity, and worthiness. Because in the end, money doesn't follow the person who works the hardest. Money stays with the one whose frequency is strong enough to hold it. And if you're asking yourself, how do I become that person? Then it's time to look at yourself, not through the lens of judgment, but with a new question. Am I ready to rewrite my financial destiny? This is the moment your journey enters its final chapter. Rebuilding your financial destiny from within, a new Capricorn, a new frequency. Capricorn, you've come far enough to understand that the outside world isn't always fair. That sometimes the one who works the hardest isn't the one who receives the most. But you're also mature enough now to see fairness doesn't lie in the game, it lies in the frequency you choose to enter the game with. You've lived long enough in the belief that you must earn your worth. You've built your reputation, your success, your discipline, your control, enough to know there's no freedom greater than allowing yourself to receive without needing to prove anything. Because starting in 2025, Capricorn is no longer the one who must carry the weight. You are the one who redefines value, not through sweat, but through resonance. It's no longer about doing to have. It's about becoming to attract. You don't need to know where the money will come from. The universe will take care of that. Your job from today onward is to become the person that money can't help but find. The one who believes they're worthy. The one who chooses to rewrite the script. The one who touches a small golden card and sees within it a version of Capricorn that knows no limits. You don't have to fix the old you. You're building a new self, one that vibrates higher, resonates deeper, and lives freer. And if you're still hesitating, ask yourself this: what hurts more, repeating an outdated version of yourself that you've already outgrown, or taking a few minutes each day to program a whole new path where money, value, and self-worth move in rhythm together? So what about you? Are you ready to shift your frequency? Are you holding a golden card of your own? Leave a comment below. I'm ready. I choose a new frequency. Or share the exact amount you're ready to attract and the journey you're beginning. Capricorn, you were born to be a symbol of endurance. But starting today, let that new frequency guide you toward a destiny more worthy. Softer, richer, from the root, we'll walk with you in the next video on the new path. And that path begins the moment you choose a new frequency for yourself.